Van Damme night. Now, last week's movie was Hard Target. I loved Hard Target as a kid. It was one of my more commonly watched, and I still rank it in the second tier. Um, and the other movie, I tried to make a video once, and the file got corrupted or something, about what's the second best Van Damme movie, because the best is Universal Soldier. And it's between Lionheart and Hard Target. And I haven't decided, but I'm going to watch Lionheart tonight, having watched Hard Target last week, and now I will talk about Hard Target as intended, as is the structure of these videos, as is this very stupid hobby of mine. Hard Target is really likable and good for being a pretty bad movie. What's cool and likable about it is that it's John Woo. It's the only Van Damme movie that's shot with style. Everything else is shot like an 80s movie, which is very play-like, right? There's just like a set and a kind of master shot. Whereas Hard Target, it's pre-2000s, but it feels kind of like the dawn of the 2000s era of action filmmaking, where there's close-ups and slow-mo and music cues, and like they milk every fucking shot to the point where it's hilarious and bad. Like it detracts from the film how much there's slow zooming pans with music for no reason. And it all disguises the fact that the story is awful, the characters are paper thin and stupid. And it's a terrible movie underneath it all. And there's not a lot of actually great stunts or good fighting in it from Van Damme. There's cool stunts planned in the film, but you can always tell that it's not Van Damme, and they're kind of silly stunts anyways. There's a silliness to the movie that's kind of likable, but also kind of grating. It's the worst offender for antagonist dead credits roll, because at the end of the film, like, they haven't actually solved the murder that they set out to solve. Like, they know by intuition who did it, but they don't like fix anything other than killing the bad guys, who can't be the entire organization either. Like, and they're in the middle of nowhere, they're surrounded by corpses, they're wounded, and it's just like, I don't know, movie over, hug, laugh, rock and roll song, credits roll. Like, they don't even explain how they get, because they hop a train to escape. There's no indication of how they get back to civilization at the end of the film. Yeah, so it's not great, but it is really good. I think I might include Double Impact in that second tier as well. It's really a contender for the second best Van Damme movie. But tonight's is going to be Lionheart, which I've watched pretty recently, because I watched it when I got it, and I've watched it once since, because I loved it when I was a kid. And like all things, it's a little bit thinner now. There's like some, there's a narrative thing that really bugs me, and I maybe should save it for the future video about it, but I always talk about, like, my memories and stuff of these things. So in Lionheart, the thing that really bugs me is the villain woman, and the betrayal necessary in the movie, like to give it a third act twist and all that, because it just doesn't actually feel earned. It feels obligatory, and you kind of have a better movie where she likes and supports him, and wants him to win, rather than she likes and supports him and works really, really hard to like and support him, to then bet against him one time. Like, she's really a true believer in Van Damme's character up until the last 8 minutes of the movie. Cough. And I feel like that actually detracts. It would be a stronger movie if she cared for him the whole time. Other than that, like, things about who believes in him and who doesn't, it actually does give the film Lionheart a lot of, dare I say, heart. The running from the Foreign Legion stuff is a tad silly, and it doesn't actually impact the film much. But it just has to be there in a lot of Van Damme movies. So yeah, let's go watch that and have a good time. And I will see you next week.